It's
Sure.
very insightful there. I agree with you there. Uh, you know, one of the things I want to ask is you talk about testing, and then me, I'm a digital marketer, work a lot in SEO, so I do a lot. I'm trying to do more A/B testing, before things get put out into production. As a business owner, you know, what sort of things have you tested out, technology wise or just operations wise, that you found didn't work for you in your business?
I think, um, like for us, like even from like the basic thing is for like food and coffee, was kind of challenging for us for and I think it's still something that's challenging. It's like trying to figure out, um, you know, something that I think people want something that's simple. And you give too many people too many choices, and it becomes complicated. Like I don't mean like there's a lot of, being Asian. I feel like a lot of Asian restaurants do this, where they have like a menu that's like 100 pages, and people are just like, I don't know what to order. Like I don't really know. It's just like there's too many choices on the menu, and I think that like that's something I think that we struggle with as well as a small business. Is like you want to give people what they want, for sure, but you also have to kind of realize is that what is the best thing you can offer, and to try to offer those items rather than trying to cover everything, right? Like I don't think you can, it's like I think if you just pan over everything and be like, hey, I want to offer every kind of sandwich or every kind of coffee drink, like and even though there are certain drinks that I think you just can't get away with, like you just have to offer those things like lattes and cappuccinos, for example, stuff like that, and like just a normal basis. But I also think, when you get into like, um, running the business and versus like doing it, like it's like being, um, like I think being like a chef, and then being a chef that's a restaurateur and owns a business, I think is one of those things where it's interesting, dynamic, right? Like I think, it's hard to do that in a lot of ways, and it kind of takes some growing in a lot of in certain ways too, like to figure that out. Even for myself in technology, I feel like, being in a consulting firm versus doing it inside a cafe needs to be adjusted, and it needs to you kind of have to feel it out and figure out, like, how do we do it? Like maybe we start small, like maybe we start off with the basic conversation, and through that we build trust, and through that we can, build into something bigger. So I think the food and coffee side, it was, was something that is a learning thing for me, because my background is not in hospitality and it's not in that industry. So like trying to figure that out with my business partner and going back and forth and having these discussions has been kind of, eye-opening for me, because you get stuck in your own ways. You're like, hey, I think this is right, or I've done this in this way. But I think this is why I think having a community of business owners and people that are entrepreneurs, and talking to them and listening to them and kind of sharing their stories, whether it's success or failure, is really important for you to try not to make those same mistakes. And maybe, maybe we're just, like I think everyone has a blind spot. And I think that, sometimes you just don't really realize it. So I think those are things that we've struggled with, is like the food menu, the coffee menu. And then the other side of it is like, I realized that you shouldn't try to sell technology to people, right? Like I think people will buy something that they feel like is valuable. Like, I understand the aspect of marketing, especially from your background, Jake. I think marketing, but you can do it in a clever way. You can do it in a unique way, in a creative way, rather than to try to do it where it's like the ShamWow dude, where it's just like buy my product, yeah, or it's just like this is, like type of thing. And I think it's like people realize it. Like, I think even just to touch upon your company, like as far as like Infi and the kiosk idea, like Lucas didn't need to really offer me that kiosk. Like I wanted it to, because I thought it was interesting. I was like, this is something that has got something here, right? There's something that we can do with it. Is it just about ordering food or something like that? I don't, it's like maybe there's something else, that can be implemented with it. Even, just from, even if it doesn't cover 100%, it's not like no one, like, I don't like the idea of just replacing a human being, replacing a server, replacing a hostess either. But maybe there's a balance there, right? Like if a restaurant is really busy and you're doing a lot of volume, like customers are different. right? Some customers want a touch. Some customers are like, I want that greeting. I want that, and some people are just like, you whatever. Maybe they're not all, maybe depending on how their day is going, they just need to get in and get out. Like, right, I just need to walk in, be able to do this quickly, whatever it may be, and leave. And I think that's what, I mean, look at Amazon. Like people, used to not order anything online. Now they're just pull out their phone, click on a button, buy it, boom, I got it, and they're cool with it. But I think it's the user education side of things too. Is like, hey, like, like there needs to be a balance. I don't think it's just like a clear cut thing where it's just like, yeah, like I don't want the world to just be Amazon either. Like I don't want it to be where I don't talk to anyone. I just sit in like, we're like plugged into a machine like the Matrix or something, and you're just like, you just at
Right.
home all day. You don't talk to anyone. It's like I don't think that's the future that I want from being in tech. But I think there is some sort of like like equilibrium that can be reached between the two, right? Like we can meet someone like it's gotta be like a halfway tree, where we can do both, where they're, you know, where it does make, it makes it convenient for people, and yet affordable for people, um, as well as like something that they feel like they need. I think timing has a lot to do with that. I think that there you see, like you said earlier, there's so many companies that have great ideas, and for some reason it just didn't really work out. Like it didn't grow in the way that you thought it would. And I think there's a bunch of factors obviously, but I think timing is one of them. Like I think the idea, like, I'm sure like you remember Peapod, like,
Yeah.
Peapod's still around, but like Instacart, like the idea, like Peapod's been around, I feel like for like 15, 20 years. Like they were trying to get into the grocery market and the digital grocery market. Same thing with like Amazon Fresh, like they all tried it, but it wasn't the right time maybe. And then all of a sudden things clicked, and the world ended or whatever it is, and people made that choice. They're like, is it worth me spending, like, do I have to go and to the grocery store and touch every vegetable I want to buy, or is it like, or can I, maybe it just, it's safer for me to do it somewhere. So I think the user made that choice, right? Like these companies had great ideas and they had these great concepts where they're like, oh, I think people would like this, but when it got implemented, people didn't really buy into it. It's just like they didn't really feel like it was a necessity. And I think the pandemic is going to be one of those things where it's gonna make a lot of things a necessity. It's gonna
Yeah.
make a lot of companies realize that it's like I don't have, like, I have to do this now. And
Yeah.
so
Overall, it sounds like find those tools that demonstrate value or bring value for you personally and for your business. It's not, and you have to go search that out. Don't try to get sold on it. You're right.